Hello.
Welcome to Innovation.
It's a pleasure to see you, Alexia.
It's always a pleasure. We've known each other for quite some time now, and it's been
quite some time.
It's a real.
And we have done beautiful things.
We have done very beautiful interviews together more than 10 years ago, and I'm so excited today to interview you once again and talking about your very disruptive career. So that's
disruptive.
Word, disruptive.
Absolutely.
I think the word. We can tell that you've scored many fashion firsts. So I'd like to tell a little bit the audience about this fashion first, because not everyone knows, because you've been doing so much and you started your brand, more than 50 years ago. And
bien sûr.
You sent me some of your pictures, which I will be sharing. But I would like to start with this idea of collaboration. You're probably the first person who's done collaboration with all the artists and the contemporaries of your time. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and showing to the audience a little bit of the collaboration. And then, if you can, talk about some of the great stories behind this collaboration.
Okay, with pleasure.
There we are. So here we are. Oops. No, I'm going to start, with...
I like it. It's a very disruptive.
So can everybody see?
Well, you start with a very symbolic image, because I start to design knitwear for a company that I baptized Iceberg, in the 70s. And I decided I wanted to do a knitwear which will be fitting a new generation of people. And so I start to do like the cartoon knitwear, and I use pop icons on this knit to make them like a new heraldry. And when we came to the idea of doing the advertisement with Olivero Toscani, I decided to choose people who were people I admire, which I want to collaborate. And the first one I choose to represent my work was Andy Warhol. And this is one of these knitwear of 81, and this idea of using contemporary icons was very important through my career.
So I just wanted to show you that in your honor, I found in my jumper here in Rio, one of these jumper, the Big Bad Wolf. I don't like to see it, but
it's a great one. It's a mean one. It's a very mean. It's the Big Bad Wolf.
So I will continue showing some of these collaborations.
But when I did this, this one is very special because it's from 1982, and I asked to Luciano Benetton if he will be doing advertising for my brand, and he said, "Why not? It will be good advertising for me too." And it's like irony about what's happening today with influencer, because all of them were big leader, artists, and entrepreneur, and we were playing like this game together. This is a great one. This is Franco Moschino, which is wearing one of my Iceberg knitwear. He was really a wonderful companion in the idea of doing something fresh into fashion, based on surrealism and humor.
Sorry, I'm just going to show another one. Hold on a second.
And this is my friend Vivienne Westwood, uh, which was there with a beautiful helmet and all this vision. We are friends for a long time because my best friend was Malcolm, her husband. But this idea of collaboration is also the idea that I never wanted to have my name alone on a brand, you know. I always find more exciting the idea of creativity and industry together. I always find the idea of two artists together was more challenging, more dangerous, you know. Or even like when I did the first campaign of advertising, I asked to Robert Mapplethorpe to do the shooting. And here is a beautiful image of when Keith Haring came to work in my home, because I met Keith because he asked me to give a quote with the teddy bear for Madonna. This is a really special.
But here exactly in the early 90s, 1990,
yeah,
you know, you had Keith Haring also design your invitation. So this idea of fusion of art and fashion and music, this is something that really dates from for you already since the very early on, no? Since when you started your brand in the 70s.
You know, Alexia, I always have been one side a designer and an artist. So the idea of this fusion without no frontier was like normality for me. There were no limits. Like it was something that I always wanted to show, that art was something moving, that fashion was art, art was fashion. That Karl Lagerfeld would tell me that. Is it art or is it fashion? Is it art and fashion? And when I did this kind of work in the 80s with several artists, it was like a bit scary for the world of art or the world of fashion. Today, it's become like a normality, you know, collaboration, art and fashion. But what you have to imagine is that a drawing of Keith like this one, which is actually the last one he did 4 days before he died, you can see it's a little radiant baby who has grown up, which is embracing the void. You know, there's this kind of loneliness into this drawing. It was just for an invitation. I never wanted to make a big production on that. So let's say that I was like an anticipation. I was thinking about things in a different way than everybody else, you know, because I wanted to write something resolutely modern, like Arthur Rimbaud will say, you know.
So thank you for this overview, a little bit about some of the collaboration, but we can go into greater details. You have done collaboration with Carway, Palace, Benetton, Moschino, Lady Gaga, also the Orly Airport. I'm going to show you right now a beautiful fresco you've done.
That's my artwork, because I have always, you know, all this panel of interest. You know, I've always been fascinated by the proteiformity. There is no limit. I don't see any limits. And my world is coming true when I see today, for example, this young generation, or I can say Virgil Abloh, I can say young upcoming talent like Charles de Villemorin, or Borami Viguier, or Grand Pierre. They're all these people now they want to create content, not just fashion. They want to put the fashion into something who describe their universe. And I was totally habited by the idea of building a new universe of transversality. This is the biggest airport in Paris, and they asked me to do this huge fresco, and it was, I think, the biggest drawing I ever did, you know.
So, you know,
And it was emotional for me because I was raised until 5 years old in Morocco, and this airport was the one that I landed when I was 5 years old.
So we're talking about Jean-Charles the Disruptor, but I also like to talk about Jean-Charles the Dreamer. And, you know, when I look at this fresco, I recognize obviously the chalk drawing that I grew up with all around Paris. And I would love for you to tell me a little bit about, you know, that dreamer side of you, you know, your love for Paris as a city, and for, you know, putting these testimonies all around town. And also how this imagination saved you and allowed you to escape during your childhood, because I know you've used all your experiences as kind of a tremplin, no, a way to step
Oui,
your
bien
imagination.
sûr. It's all the idea of a transformation, you see. It's the idea of building a world of utopia and dreams, in fact. So when I was a little boy, I was for 11 years old in boarding school, I think my biggest shield was primary color. You know, it's a very simple, this was my shield. Yeah, these three colors, you know. And it's like that, I create my world around this three color. Why this three color? Because they were timeless, because they were unique, and they were like a very strong empowerment. They were linked to the rainbow, you know. And step by step, I have grown up and construct this world with a very strong discipline, keeping the same shape, keeping the same color, because it's, you know, using also different icon linked to this discipline. And it's like that a style can go forward and you can still create on your base.
On that note, I'd like to show the audience, you know, the first garment you've ever done, which I think is incredibly modern and relevant for the time we live in. So bear with me, I'm going to share the screen and try to show you better the image this time.
Voilà, this color, you see, this is a picture of 72 and of the 80. What did I say, 72? Because you can see there is Karen Mulder, there is several icon of and this is the work I did for K-Way, you know, and this was really important for me. I invented this color blocking, you know, because everybody was putting harmonious color together, but I love the shock of the color block, and I create the color block around the 80s, bringing this energy, because shocking this color together bring a very strong energy.
Well, I'm sorry, I cannot find this picture, but I will explain it. I mean, maybe you can explain it, but it's.
But I can explain. You know, when I start fashion in the 70s, you know, I don't want to be a designer. I was planned to be first an officer, and then I want to be an artist. So I decide I will not use any material which were created for fashion. So I went to some store, I bought like a material to wash the floor, bandage, you know, all this very, very poor recycled material, you know, and they are interesting because they were done with the trash who came out from the textile, you know. So I start my career by the end of the cycle, you know, and it was quite funny. In the winter, I will start to work on the blankets, recycled blanket. And it's made my success in the United States, because when I start to present my collection, immediately a magazine, a store named Bendel, and then Gimbel Sachs decide to import my work and to put them in. This is this jacket. Huh? You can see the very rough and poor material, you know. I was really amazed by the nobility, by the by the essence of humanity that they were into those materials. You know, I was a bit allergic to silk. I was a bit allergic to cashmere. In fact, I was a bit allergic to everything soft. But maybe it's because I was an ex-boarding school boy.
But this garment is obviously like, you know, an upcycled product.
Ah, definitively, because this garment is from 71, you know.
So this was already the foundation of your thinking process and your creative process in 71. And this is very important for the time we're living in, of course, right now. How do you think fashion impacts, you know, environments today, and what do we have to do?
But this is extraordinary, Alexia, because I think this time of COVID, it's one side a tragedy, but it's also a signal for a great renaissance, because all this time has recreated for us the duty of a discipline, the duty of sharing, the duty of a responsibility, which is bringing us to a renaissance. You know, I think you cannot create just to create. You know, we are not anymore in a kindergarten. And I think this, very strangely, is really provoking the imagine of a young generation of designer, you know, because it has challenged them. And now with the digital world, with Instagram, with the capacity of doing a little film or whatever, they are almost at the same level than major brand, you know. So imagination is back to the power, you know, because you have to think of sustainability. I can see in Benetton, you know, United Colors Benetton, you think about sustainability, you think about recycling. You know, recently, for example, I realized we have big stock of old coats, and we give them to young designers to recreate this idea of recreating. And it was always in my mind. I create you know, the down coat, you know, with feather in 73, because I was shocked that by the way they were killing the fox, and I don't want any more fur coats. So I think creation can be really re-challenged by this situation.
Thank you. So there's two more points I'd like to go over. So you just mentioned Benetton. You're now the creative director of Benetton since 2018. And there is something very beautiful that you've done for the first show, which is giving a lot of voice to les couturières, le savoir-faire.
Bien sûr.
So tell me a little bit about this.
But you know, when I arrived in United Colors Benetton, you know, I realized that it was a Sleeping Beauty, but a beautiful princess, you know, because there were a tradition of craft in Benetton that make the difference. You know, Luciano Benetton was a total amazing, passionate by architecture. And when I visit his company, I realized that they were petites mains, like in a haute couture house. And I say, if we do a show, we have to bring this energy of how we do the clothes, you know. So it was wonderful because we bring all the workers, we put them in the middle of the stage, and they were building clothes during the show. And it was really an emotion moment, you know, so strong emotion moment. You know, Alexia, in 97, I have lived the most amazing experience in my life, because I was
about to conclude with this, and I thought this would be the perfect way to conclude on a very peaceful note. So let me share the screen to show the audience, because it's so beautiful what you've done. So here it is, what you've done in 97.
Voilà. So in 97, I was asked by the Vatican to design the dress of 500 bishops, 5,000 priests, and 1 million of t-shirts for the kids and the clothes of the Pope John Paul II, you know. And it was a big pressure. And suddenly in the night before I met the bishop, I find the idea. It was simple. It was a rainbow. Because in the Bible, the rainbow it make the link. You can see the million of the kids there. You know, it make the link between the people and between with the people and God. So I went to the bishop and I said, maybe you will not accept that I do the rainbow because it's also the flag of the homosexual community. And he says to me, Jean-Charles, there is no copyright on the rainbow. So I did this amazing project, you know, 1 million of kids, 5,000 priests, 500 bishops and the Pope. And all was linked by color. After this amazing event, you know, I was thinking, how can I use my talents in the future to change the world, simply, to change the world, to give people hope, to participate, to help a young generation. And when I arrived in Benetton, I said, wow, it's the same color than the rainbow in the DNA of Benetton. Maybe I find my rainbow machine. And it's like that. I call my collection, it was the rainbow machine, because since 97, I was waiting to find such machine to do cool things for an expensive price with a good philosophy.
Well, thank you so much. I think this was very enlightening, and you know, I'm incredibly honored to see all this work. I mean, more than 50 years of career. You are the ultimate disruptor. You get the credit for a lot of the fashion first, and you know, I'm very excited to think, you know, to know what's going to be the future of fashion. So you're a true mentor, and you named some of the young generation, the designer that you've been supported. I know that you have like, you know, Charles de Villemorin that you've been following for a long time now, that just been named at Rochas. Any more little protégés that you just like to talk about before we leave?
Écoutez, I have in fact a protégé in a different field, or people I look at, you know, like in music, we have very creative, like Salut c'est cool with Flavien Berger. In fashion, in men's fashion, there is a young upcoming guy called Borami Viguier, which is really very interesting because he's working on medieval, on epic, on stories. He's a good storyteller. So many that I look and follow, because I think it's like if I have a following generation, you know, I'm so happy, because creativity is not something that you teach just by marketing. You teach it by, you learn it by resistance. You're learning to be also in your own way. And today it's fascinating for this young designer is that they understand also a new strategy in marketing. You know, they are considering that marketing is part of the creative concept.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy because I'm preparing.
We're going to have to conclude now. So I just wanted to thank you again so much.
Oh, okay.
Creativity is contagious, and I really hope we get to see more of you.